Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live video. And today I thought I would show you a fun card that I made with a Plentiful Plants stamp set bundle. This is one of the newer ones from the annual catalog that started here in May from Stampin' Up. And it's a good one. I mean, I don't know, I love the images in it, I love the sentiments in it, you know, it's a good stamp set. So definitely one that I like, and it's a lot of fun to play with. There's also some cool designer series paper that I'm going to show you actually a little bit of the backside of it here in a second that coordinates with the dies. And so it's a really cool bundle, and it's actually a product suite in the catalog as well. So lots of good stuff. If you haven't seen this bundle, hopefully you have. If you haven't, you definitely need to check it out in the annual catalog. So, all right, let us get going on the card. So let's talk a little bit about the stamp set. First, it's a photopolymer stamp set, and it's very, like I said, got lots of good sentiments in it, some good kind of general thank you ones, and just, you know, to love you and to a dear friend, and, you know, that type of thing. So some good general sentiments. And then there are these cool images. This is one of those I don't know that it's necessarily marked as a distinctive. It might be in the catalog, but it gives you that layered look, and all you have to do is stamp it one time just because of the way the stamp is made. So it kind of gives you like shadows and layering look to it when you use it. But again, you just ink it once, stamp it once, and it's done. So it's a really cool set. Lots of dies that coordinate with it as well. And for whatever reason, I can't see comments on. I can see that people are commenting, but I can't see what it is. So, eek, I don't know. Hopefully, I've been hearing Facebook is causing some trouble. So, with the commenting part, so I don't know for sure what's going on. That sometimes you can see comments and sometimes you can't. And so hopefully I'll be able to see them. So, okay, I can see a few comments. I don't know if they're going to keep scrolling through or not. So if I miss a comment, I apologize up front. But I see Bree is here, and Karen, and Debbie, and Elise, and Barbara, and Julie. So thanks so much for joining. And again, I'm sorry if I missed your comments coming through, because I don't know, Facebook is just not playing nice today. So, but who knows? Anyway, trying to fix it on my computer so that hopefully I'll see comments. But anyway, if not, I guess, hey, Ginny and Carol, see a couple more comments pop through. Hopefully they'll continue to come through so I can see them. But if there are any questions or anything that I miss as things are coming through, just, you know, either repeat it or I will come back out later. And there's actually one thing I can do. Hopefully that won't affect the light too much if I take that away. But I have a little light that I clip onto my camera, and actually if I move that, I think I can see comments. So, all right. Anyway, okay, so back to the stamp set. So this is the stamp set, and again, lots of fun images in it. And then there are the coordinating dies, which y'all know that I love dies. So, hey, Karen, thanks for joining today. So there are lots and lots of dies in the set, you know, that match all of the little flower pots. So these each have a die. The little images have a die. All of the little plant images have die cuts. There are some standalone die cuts, like these little basket-looking images and the little, I don't know, I guess they're little flower pots, I guess is what you can call them. This actually we're going to use on my card today, but this is like a little stand for the flower pots. And then we have the one that looks like aloe. So, and the hanging one. This one is the coolest. I love that die. So, and it fits around the little flower pots, so you can put a couple of different ones in there. So definitely a cool set of dies. All right, so let's get moving here. Hey, Andrea, I see you're here as well. Thanks for joining. And again, my old eyes, I'm trying to look at my phone. I can see the comments coming through on my phone, but for whatever reason, my computer is not showing them. So anyway, it's really annoying. I wish Facebook would stop messing with stuff. But okay, one thing that I did forget to talk about, and of course I only have a little tiny scrap of the paper, but the designer series paper that is in this product suite, actually the dies cut. And of course, again, I've only got a tiny piece of it, and the top of it's completely chopped off. But I promise you that these actually cut the images in the designer series paper. So it's cool because all the dies are designed to cut these as well. So you don't even have to stamp the images. You can just die cut them right out of the paper. So definitely a very cool die set, a really cool stamp set, and one that you definitely need if you don't have it yet. All right, so I will stop talking and get busy working. Okay, that was actually the background of my card. So I've got a gray granite card base that I have cut to 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So just your standard issue card base. And then I have a piece of the Bloomeria Planted Designer Series paper. That's the paper that coordinates with this die set. And we're going to glue it down to the card front with some multi-purpose liquid glue. The panel of Designer Series paper is cut to cover the entire card front, so it's 4.5 or 4.25 4.25 by 5.5. And this one is one of those papers that isn't really very directional, so it doesn't really matter very much which way it goes on. But I usually do try to use liquid glue when I'm adhering things onto the entire card front, just because it gives you that little bit of wiggle room, where if you have it not quite straight or it doesn't quite go to the edge on one spot, you have a minute to kind of wiggle it around before it's stuck down forever. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of Designer Series paper, which again is from that same pack, and we're going to do a little stamping early on with garden green ink. And this is the sentiment from the Plentiful Plants stamp set. And we're just going to ink it in garden green ink. And we are going to hopefully stamp it straight here on the Designer Series paper. There we go. I think we got it, and I think we even got it straight, so that's a double yay. So, all right, this piece of paper is cut to 3.5 or 3.25 by 4.5, and again, all the measurements are going to be on my blog tomorrow, so trust that and not what I'm saying, because most of the time I mess it up when I'm trying to say it live. But I have a piece of cinnamon cider cardstock that I have cut to 3 5/16 by 4 9/16. So again, I know the measurements are a little weird, but I actually want this to fit snug up in the corner and give me an 1/8 of an inch border on it. So I see I'm off screen. So that is why it's cut to that kind of odd sizing. So let's go ahead and glue this down as well. We're going to use, again, a little bit of liquid glue on here. I'm going to stay away from the very edge because I know that I need to stick my Designer Series paper to it and have a little bit of a border. So let's use that to go ahead and adhere this together, hopefully straight. And again, the liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room on here, and it is nice when you're doing that on this type of a project. You can definitely use seal, and I usually do, but sometimes when I'm live on camera, things don't work out as well when I use seal, and then I'm sad that I've done it and I can't undo the seal. Like I said, the liquid glue gives me a little bit of wiggle room on it. And then we're going to take this and adhere it to the card front, and again, we're just going to use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere it to the corner of the card front. And we'll go ahead and slide that right up in there. And again, we're just making it snug up here into the corner. So hopefully I can get it set there and to stay in the spot I want it to stay in so that everything is lined up. Yep, there we go. Okay. Now I need to stick it down and not touch it so it doesn't wiggle anymore. All right, next up we're going to do a little bit of stamping of some of the greenery images. And I've got garden green ink that we're going to be starting with. So we'll go ahead and stamp that. And it's just basic white cardstock that I'm stamping it on. So you can kind of see how it does. It's a little bit of shaded look to it. And I do have one of my ink pads that's a little overly inked, and I'll show you how I fix that. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, you've seen how I fix it, but I do have a way. If you end up with an ink pad that's a little overly inked and you end up with kind of a blobby image on these distinctive stamps that you don't really love, you definitely can fix it with a sponge dauber. So this one is Old Olive, and next one is going to be Pear Pizzazz. And that's the one that looks sort of like, I think that's supposed to be aloe. I'm not very up on my plants, but I think that's aloe. At least I call it aloe. All right, so we got that one stamped. And next up, we're going to do the little flower pots. So I have got Coastal Cabana as my one kind of bright flower pot in this. And that's the little one with the handles, which I think is just really a cute image. So we've got that one. And again, we're just stamping everything on basic white cardstock. And we're going to do some die cutting, which is going to take me a second. So hopefully y'all don't mind watching for a few extra minutes today. Then we got gray granite that we're going to do the second flower pot in. Oop, I got a chunk of something on my paper. All right, and then again, you can kind of see the little bit of shading that is added when you're stamping with that, and all you have to do is just stamp it. And then I have my cinnamon cider ink pad, and that's the one that I think is a little bit overly inky for this stamp set. So when I do that, I don't know how well you can see it, but it kind of gets bubbly and globby looking on there. And when you stamp that down, you're going to end up with a not as nice of an image as you want. So the way that I fix that, hey Kathy, thanks for joining today. So the way that I fix that is just take a little sponge dauber, and I've already got plenty of the ink on it, but this is my cinnamon cider sponge dauber, and then I'm just going to tap the dauber over the top of the entire image, and that kind of evens out the ink and takes all the little extra globbies and bubbles and anything else that you don't want on it away. And then you should get a nice image when you stamp it. So let me slide that down a little. So there you go. So that's the image that you get, which to me looks a lot better than when they're kind of globby and not as nice. Is globby a word? I think it's a word. So, all right, so now that we've got these all stamped, I'm going to take the coordinating dies and just run these through the die cutting machine. It's probably going to take me more than one pass through the die cutting machine to get them all done, just because I don't want things to slide around, and then, you know, not that I don't mind restamping it, but I figure if we can get it all done in one swing, then we'll just do that. So, all right, so I'm going to be off screen. My die cutting machine is set up off to my right here, so I'll be off screen for just a second doing a little bit of die cutting, and so I'll be hanging out here. I'll be off screen, but I'll still be here. So hopefully y'all are enjoying a wonderful Tuesday. It's a beautiful day here in New Jersey where I'm at. Got some pretty sunny weather. My younger daughter had the end of the year pool party at school today, so she was thrilled about that. And so she spent most of the day in the pool, which is one of her favorite places to be in the summertime. So, and I think they had a little lunch over there and everything, so lots of fun for the kids. I thought I was going to be able to get these all done in one swing, but I've got one that's not cooperating, so we'll have to do it with a couple. All right, lining up my last one here. Hopefully I can run these through and nothing will slide. And usually when I say, oh, well, we'll be fine, then I usually end up with one that cuts crazy and I have to restamp it, but it's not the end of the world. So, all right, so I think I've got 5 of the images that came out pretty well. So I've got those done, and that one, and a couple of the flower pots. And the one flower pot that wouldn't cooperate is that one. My die wanted to move around a little bit, so I figured I would be safe and run it through. Whoop! Run it through a second time, and there goes one of my dies flinging across the floor. So, all right, we'll get this one cut, and then we'll be on our way to assembling. All right, while I'm cutting this, I just wanted to remind you Stampin' Up! Does have their retiring list from the January to June mini catalog. That's been announced, and things are starting to sell out. So if there are things in that catalog that you would like and you haven't purchased them yet, definitely get going on making your purchases, so that you don't end up missing out on anything that you really, really want to get. So those items are only available while supplies last, so make sure that you're out there and getting your last purchases done before the catalog ends here on June 30th. All right, so I've got all of our die cut pieces done and ready to go. So first thing I'm going to do is I pre-cut this, and again, I cut that with the little plant stand die from the Plentiful Plants bundle. And I've got the little gray granite flower pot, and I'm just going to adhere the 2 pieces together. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit, hopefully, of liquid glue, and we're going to take that and stick it to the little flower pot. And again, hopefully get everything stuck on here fairly straight. That's usually the biggest challenge that I have, is trying to get everything on straight, especially when I have a camera in between me and what I'm trying to stick on straight. Sometimes it works better than others. And then we've got some glue dots here, and I find glue dots are a little bit less messy for me, so I tend to reach for those. Liquid glue, sometimes I get a little heavy-handed with it and then end up with glue everywhere, and that's not necessarily a look that I love. So instead I just take a little glue dot, stick it on here, and then we're going to tuck it underneath the flower pot, and we will stick it together like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with this little flower, this little greenery piece, whatever, aloe, I think is what I decided it was. We're going to take that one and adhere it to the Coastal Cabana little flower pot. And again, we're just going to use a little glue dot to do that. And then same thing on the final one here. So I'm just going to stick that down here on the stem and then put it into the little cinnamon cider flower pot. All right, and we're actually getting close to being done with the card front, so pretty simple so far. So this one is going to be the one that's going to go down first, and go on the card front first, I should say. Gonna stick a couple little glue dots here and there on the background of this, and that will secure that to the card front. All right, I think we've got enough to get it to stay on there. And we're just going to put that one, I think we'll place it right up here. And we're going to have the other plants that are going to tuck in right around it. So if it's not on there perfectly straight, it's okay. Nobody will be able to tell by the time you get everything layered up on this one. All right, so the second one here, we're going to put a couple little glue dots on the back of that as well. And I'm going to tuck that one in here right next to my other flower pot. And that's also why I didn't worry a whole lot about putting a bunch of glue on the back of this little plant stand, because I knew the other plants were going to be layered right over the top of it and would hold it in place without any problems. And then the final image, I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, or my chopped up half Stampin' Dimensionals. If you prefer the mini ones, those will certainly work on here as well, but I prefer my half Stampin' Dimensionals, and we have this discussion all the time, and I don't know why I prefer them. I guess just because I started using them before we had the smaller dimensionals. So I like them better. I don't know. So as I pick these all off here, we'll get this flipped over, and we're going to just adhere this on to the card front right around, or make sure that I'm not covering up my sentiment, and make sure that I'm not covering up all the other plants, and just adhere it right down to the card front. The last little thing that I have for the card front is actually a one of the little rhinestone basic jewels. And again, this is an old pack of them that I found as I was digging through and cleaning out. I found a really, whoop, that scooted right under there where I didn't want it to be. Let me grab my paper snips. But I found a really old pack of these, and so I figured, well, I don't know. I thought about not using them, and I thought, well, that's silly. They're just rhinestones. They're all still the same size. They just have a different packaging now. So that's a really old pack of them. All right, so that is it for the card front. So super simple. The inside I also kept pretty simple, and just going to use a piece of basic white cardstock. This is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a 5/8 inch wide strip of the Bloom Where You're Planted Designer Series paper, which matches the paper that's on the card front. And then we're just going to use a little Stampin' Seal to adhere that together. And again, I'm just going to put this over to the edge, and then I've left it a little bit extra long just so that it's a little bit of a lever, and I can move it around a little easier when I'm adhering the long strip onto the inside of the card. I'm going to take my paper snips and trim this off even with the edge of the panel, and then use a little bit of Stampin' Seal to adhere it to the inside of the card base. And that's all that I got for today. So the card is almost done, and even with the extra die cutting, I think we're still not going too late, but hopefully you enjoy the card, and hopefully this is well, it's not hopefully, y'all need to get this Stampin' die set, because it's a really good one. I love the designer paper that coordinates with it, and I don't know, it's just, I love the images in it. It's a good bundle, so definitely need to get it. Again, it's called Plentiful Plants, and it's available in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. Let me know if you have any questions on anything. Again, all the details will be posted on my blog tomorrow, and I will link up the blog post in this video, in the description of the video, so if you want to go back and look at pictures of anything or check things later, you can definitely do that tomorrow. Everything will be posted around 8 o'clock Eastern Time in the morning. And that's all that I have for today. So thanks so much for joining. I appreciate you being here and spending part of your afternoon with me. Have a great rest of your week. And I will plan to be live on my YouTube channel around 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Friday. And then back here live again on Facebook around 2 o'clock Eastern Time next week, Tuesday. So have a great rest of your week. And we will chat soon.